Lovelies, it's Sarcasm the Sickness, and welcome back for another episode of Skill Link. In today's episode, I almost forgot the S on that word for whatever reason, whoops! In today's episode, you are witnessing something kind of special. I haven't done this in a while. The good portion of actually, probably for the last, 2 or 3 months, pretty much every Skill Link has featured commission work that I've done for somebody, or at least, like work that I had done for free for friends or whatever. Today, I am actually bringing you some personal work of mine that I've spent the last 2 days on, really. Something I've been honestly really proud of. I'm very excited to show you these. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today, is this. And, well, if you guys are following my Twitter, then you saw the sketches go up of the Garchomp and the Esper that is going to be later on in the episode here. That's going to be the second thing you'll see. I actually decided to group them together into one, partially because I am way too excited about these. I didn't want to wait any longer. Because basically as soon as the skill link goes up, I'm going to post these also on DeviantArt, on my Tumblr, and on Twitter. Shoot, I'm so excited, I might post them on my Facebook. I never post things on my Facebook. I probably won't post it on my Facebook, but I'm so excited that I would consider it at least. Yeah, I'm gonna post that everywhere because I'm extremely excited about these. But yeah, so if you're following my Twitter, which you should be, then you saw the sketches go up, and actually you saw the Garchomp in a semi-finished manner before. But I ended up, I don't know, somebody, it was White Bread Man, also known as Ludicolo Lover. Hey dude! But yeah, he commented on the Garchomp, because originally the Garchomp was hanging out with a Scraggy, but I decided to scrap the Scraggy character. I didn't really like it that much. I liked it, but I don't know, I couldn't attach a personality to it. I don't know why. But, he was like, hey, you should do, a mini comic series about these two. And I was like, I should do a mini comic series about these two. Now, before you get all excited, that doesn't mean I am going to do a mini comic series about these two. I really want to, and I've spent all day brainstorming ideas for it. But, unfortunately, I just get really busy, and, I don't know, I don't know if I'd have the time to accomplish it, I guess. But I don't know. For now, they're gonna be my babies, and for now I'm just gonna probably doodle them, all the time. At least in my free time. But yeah, it started, when he said that, it started getting me thinking, well, if I was actually going to make a comic series about these two, then I would need them to be a little bit more customized. I would need them to be a little bit more special and unique to me. And as much as maybe the body shape of the Garchomp was a little bit more, like my style, I guess, and my style being kind of a cartoony realistic, it's semi-realism for whatever reason, I don't know, I felt like there was more I could do with it. I felt like there was a lot more I could do with it. So, I decided to undertake the task of redoing the Garchomp, but using the same base, because honestly, it took me about 2 hours to get the sketch done, because I don't know why, I just couldn't get the shape down. I just couldn't get Garchomp's shape down in a way that I liked it. I don't know, it was really insanely difficult. Yeah, so I scribbled, I decided, okay, I'm gonna use the line art from the original drawing, which was already, a fully finished piece. But, I decided to do more with it, I guess. So yeah, I took the line art, and I started brainstorming, what can I do to make this a little bit more unique, a little bit more special. And first, what I wanted to do was, I needed to picture this Garchomp in my mind as a character. And I already kind of have, a character model for him, I suppose. He's just, he's the quiet, kind of distant type where he doesn't really talk much. He doesn't really, he doesn't really feel the need to so much. But he can be a little quick to anger. I mean, come on, he's a dragon type. And nice and outrage. But, yeah, so he's quiet, but he's kind of quick to anger. He doesn't speak too much. but when he's upset, he really does speak his mind. And I don't know. I kept trying to think of I guess like what I saw for him as a character, what I saw for him as a person, I suppose. And and I started trying to picture like what his role would be. And I'm not entirely certain on this. I'm really not super keen on I'm not okay, I'm not entirely I haven't decided. That's what I'm trying to say here. I'm sorry. I haven't decided on exactly what his story is going to be. But I started picturing him after I started thinking about, what he would be like. I started picturing him as like like as a guardian of something. Like just he protects something for whatever reason. And whether it just be like a simple bodyguard or, like guarding some kind of sacred treasure. That's what I saw for him. And so then I started thinking about Garchomp as a Pokemon. And I don't know, I consider him to be sort of like a land shark. I mean, that's what it is. It's a land shark. Look at him. He's got shark things and he's ground type and he's a land shark. So I started thinking about, I mean, like, well, okay, look, he has freaking Sandvale or whatever the heck that is, or Sand Rush or whatever the frack. I don't know which one it was. I can't remember at this point. But you can picture Garchomp being in a very sandy area. So I started thinking about him as if, like, I don't know, like, I guess like a Pokemon version of ancient Egypt. And that's essentially where his setting is as I'm drawing him, or as I'm thinking about, as I was brainstorming him. And I don't know, like, I started thinking, like, okay, so if he's that strong silent type or whatever, and he's like, in like a Pokemon ancient Egypt sort of thing, then what is he doing? What is he doing there? And so, the obvious thing is, okay, he's guarding the pyramids or something like that. And again, this isn't like this isn't exactly what I've decided on. There's plenty more thinking that I did afterwards, like after I did all the initial brainstorming, sorry, for his design. But this is where I was going at this point. So I decided, he's gonna guard, a pyramid. So what do the pyramids stand for? They stand for protecting, the ancient pharaohs, and the ancient pharaohs stand for, like the gods, in human form, I suppose. Like each pharaoh is supposed to be like a reincarnation of the gods, or I mean, obviously I'm not entirely correct on that, and I can't tell you exactly what the ancient Egyptians were thinking, but yeah, essentially, like, pharaohs were treated as if they were gods, so the pyramids are, religious symbols, or just maybe just, like, here's a really cool burial site for me, spend, 200 years building it, but, whatever, it's cool. So, so I started taking elements of Garchomp and trying to see, like, okay, if I was going to change something about him to make it look like he was part of a religious cult, what would it be? And Garchomp has, that star kind of pattern on the front of its nose there. So I was like, all right, I'll take that. And at this point, I really should have scanned my my pencil drawings for you and shown that. Maybe I'll tweet those out or something. I don't know, but yeah. So I spent like an hour drawing different symbols. A lot of them having to do with like the sun, and I spent a long time on those, and until I came up with like 2 or 3 that I kind of liked, but I needed to see what it would look like on the character. So that's when I went back to my my line art, and what I did is I put it into my canvas and like I copied it over like 5 times just to make sure that like I could manipulate it freely and compare them to each other and stuff, and not have to, like, undo or hide layers or anything. It's like, look, I have everything laid out here. This is what I'm working on. This is, all the different ideas I've come up with, and this is how they look next to each other. This is, this one in comparison to this one. So that's what I did. And spent a little while, maybe another hour, like drawing the pattern on the nose. Some of them kind of like had patterns that branched from the nose to the eye. a couple of the patterns actually, or one or I think two of the patterns actually did derive from actual ancient Egyptian symbols. Yeah, symbols, not symbolism. Symbols. Um, so, so that was cool. It was a lot of fun. But I ended up settling on one of the more simple ones, because I didn't want to get too far away from, like, the Garchomp design to begin with. I didn't want to make it so absurd that, or so out there that, you know, that it wouldn't make sense anymore, and it would be like, well, what is that? It kind of looks like this, but not really. So I settled on something a little bit more simple, but still, like, ornate enough that I can kind of replicate it later and use it as the religious symbol for whatever cult this is going to be. I haven't quite decided on what that would be called yet, but yes. So I have my symbol, and I have my Garchomp, and I have a vague backstory, and for whatever reason, I still wanted to do more with him. And so I started thinking about the other aspect of him, which is he's a land shark. So, you know, up until this point, this has been an important thing in the decision making, so, you know, I might as well run with it a little bit more. I started looking at sharks. I was like, alright, well, you know, if you're a land shark, then let's see what actual sharks look like, and kind of run with that. And, I don't know, there's some pretty cool sharks out there, but a lot of them have, what makes them different from other sharks is their, is, like, the shape of their body. Like, their tails are a little bit longer, or, they're, like, really skinny, or they're, like, you know, like a weird-ass face or whatever. And some of them have really weird faces. Have you seen a goblin shark? Oh, Jesus. Nightmare fuel. But, so, like, I started looking at sharks, and I was trying to find something that looked like, I don't know, like had, like, a body pattern that was different. And so at that point, it kind of narrowed it down to, like, tiger shark, and, I don't think there really were that many. A lot of sharks are pretty solid colored, at least from what I was seeing from, you know, my quick Google images search. At that point is when I had to start thinking again about his personality, and he's, you know, he's quiet, he can be extremely angry, but he generally doesn't really like to get in the way or get into too much trouble or whatever. So I started thinking about sharks that kind of, like replicated that, I suppose. And, you know, when you think of sharks, you think of, like, vicious stuff, and that's what you think about when you think of Garchomp. You think of something vicious and angry and just raging and just destroying everything in its path. But, obviously not all sharks are like that, and the shark that I decided to go with was the whale shark. And it is a gentle giant. It is a peaceful little beast, or peaceful large beastie, and kind of just floats along, just chills and stuff. The only difference, of course, is that my Garchomp is still going to actually have, like large teeth. Like, I didn't want to completely de-arm him. So really, the only thing that's modeled after the whale shark is the pattern on him, because everything else is pretty much just, you know, just kind of a more realistic version of Garchomp. So that's why he looks the way he does. He has like a whale shark sort of pattern to him, which I love. Like, I went and I sketched it out first, and I completely fell in love with it, and I was like, I can't wait to draw this. I really can't wait to draw this. And I did draw it. When I went to go, like, start the coloring and stuff, I decided that I wanted to do something different. You know, and I was kind of, I guess I figured, you know, like, if I'm gonna spend this much time not doing commission work and doing personal work, then this is the time I'm gonna take to actually, like, try to grow as an artist and try to practice things that I don't usually get to practice when I'm doing commissions, because when I'm doing commissions, people expect a certain style from me, and I have to deliver that certain style. And it's not like I don't love that style, and that is my style, but I still have a long way to go, and I still have a lot to offer. I still have a lot to grow from. And so that's what this was for me. That's what this whole adventure was for me. Was just, I don't know, it's just It was really great. It was a lot of fun. So I decided that instead of just drawing like I usually do, and like I had before for the original version of the Garchomp, I was gonna try to do it lineless. And so obviously you've seen so far, and at this point we may already be at the Esper, but you've already seen that I went through the Garchomp pretty much just almost kind of like using. I used essentially the line art as a stencil, and instead of tracing it, I kind of colored underneath it on my layers. I had it as a higher layer, as a higher like sort of transparent layer, and started coloring underneath it so that I could still see where my boundaries were and have a distinct shape for the Garchomp, but but still be free enough to make manipulations, to make changes, but essentially to just get the real feel of what it was going to be like without these hard lines on the outside. And ultimately, that is my goal, to eventually get to a point where where my style doesn't rely on hard outlines to stand on its own. And that's part of the reason why I'm so proud of this, is because I think I did pretty darn well. I know I could have done better, but this was a huge step for me. This is a really huge step for me as an artist, and that's why I just wanted to talk about it. And honestly, I never talk about my art, and I never talk about my brainstorming process, so for those of you who use my skill links as, I guess, as like a tutor or a teacher, then this is probably the episode for you, because this talks a lot about my brainstorming process and about, my thoughts on character creation. And yes, the character is a Pokemon, and a Pokemon is an existing character to begin with, but and I do want to touch on this real quick, because I have heard people talking to me. People have been talking to me a little bit about this lately, about like original characters and stuff. I can create like original characters that aren't based off of Pokemon, or aren't like don't exist in, or don't belong in a pre-existing universe like Pokemon, or I don't know, like Avatar: The Last Airbender, or whatever it may be that, whatever fandom it may be that that people create their characters for, I suppose. I am perfectly capable of creating characters that stand on their own. But sometimes it's nice to create a character that doesn't, I guess, that exists in a certain world, and it makes it so much easier to write a simple story around it. Or not a simple story necessarily, it makes it actually easier to write a complicated story about it, but there's a pre-existing world and a pre-existing, like thought line to go along with it, so you don't have to think as hard about all of the details. You don't have to create an entirely new universe for it. You have that already, so you can concentrate a lot more on everything else, on the character itself, and the characters that they'll meet, and the setting and the scenarios and stuff, because most of the setting is already there, and most of the just generally most of the terms are already there, so you don't have to make things up. You don't have to create something completely new. And people have been coming to me a lot lately and asking like well, somebody so-and-so says I'm not being original because I'm not, I'm not making original characters. And I said the same thing. I think I think all occasions I said the same thing, which is, it's okay to make a character that doesn't stand on its own. If anything, making a character that exists in a pre-existing universe, like I made a character one time who existed in the Pokemon universe and essentially was like a higher up in Team Rocket, and I loved him. I still love him. He's a great character. I adore him, honestly, and I really would love to make a comic about him at one point. But I have since then taken that character and essentially when you've created a character, because the character for the most part is that character's experiences, his or her experiences, his or her personality, and the things that they stand for, the things they believe in. And those things you can almost always kind of like copy-paste into a different scenario. I can take that Team Rocket character and put him into a different world, and he's still gonna be a bad guy, because he's still kind of a jerk. He's still gonna, you know, really only think about himself and maybe, like, the few people around him that he cares about, but in the Pokemon universe, the only creatures that he really cared about were his Pokemon. And he's still gonna be super intelligent and not so much super intelligent. He's generally intelligent, but critically thinking, I suppose. You know, and these things are truths. These things are going to follow him no matter where I put this character. And that's the important part. Is sometimes you need help to build the character. Sometimes you need to have, like, the skeleton. You need to have something to kind of hold them up. Maybe not a skeleton. Maybe what the skeleton is what you make. What you need is a mold, I suppose. And the Pokemon universe was a mold for this character. You know, it gave me something to put him into, and that way I could think more about, you know, about his personality and his backstory and his, you know, his motivations, and not worry about, well, I mean, like, does this creature exist in this world, or does this, you know, concept exist in this world? Because that gets, that's just way too many layers sometimes. And sometimes, I mean, because I believe, honestly, that a good story is driven by good characters. And, I mean, granted, you don't have to agree with me. It could be driven by, you could believe it's driven by a good plot, which it is as well, and that's a very important part. But I feel like a good plot still falls flat if the characters suck, and if the characters aren't, like, interesting enough for me to actually, I don't know, like, I have to fall in love with a character. I really have to fall in love with a character, or I have to fall in hate with a character. I have to hate a character so much that I need to know that they're gonna suffer, or that they're gonna, or, like, what their next move is, or whatever, you know? Like, I have to have something that attaches me to this character to make the plot even mean anything to me, to make the scenario even mean anything to me. So if you're one of the people who has been asking me, like, well, you know, people don't think that I'm being original because I don't draw characters that, you know, that aren't already existing, or that aren't, you know, like, completely original. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about these people. What you do is create a story in your mind, create a character in your mind, and put it into one of those worlds that you really love. Put it into the Pokemon world, put it into the Dragon Ball Z world, put it into the Naruto world. Create your own ninja, create your own Pokemon trainer, create your own Pokemon. You know what it's just... Sometimes you need that as a start. If it's difficult, or if it's daunting, more so. It's not even like difficult, it's just like, if it's kind of like scary to think about creating this entire world and then creating the characters in it, screw that. Create the characters first, put them somewhere else for now, you know, just as a placeholder, you know? You can slap them in the Pokemon world for now, and they'll chill there for a little while, and then when you've come back to them after you've created, you know, this amazing world for them to live in that fits perfectly for them, then you can take them out of that Pokemon world and put them there and say, this is your home now, you know? And that'll be fantastic. And, you know, you don't have to already have everything planned out. You don't already have to have everything planned out. And it's okay to use pre-existing things as a base. I mean, how many people have made My Little Pony characters? How many people have made Pokemon characters? Whether it be trainers or Pokemon, like I'm doing in this episode. It's so important to just be able to flex your brain a little bit, to flex your creativity. And I don't mean flex as in like bragging. I mean flex as in, like, actually use these creative juices, use these creative muscles, and, you know, and create something, and not be afraid, well, what is he gonna do? Where is he gonna live? What is this world around him? Where does he exist? You know, it's okay. You don't have to know that right now. And I think that's the magical thing about having all of these fandoms and having all of these pre-existing ideas that, you know, that other people are also making characters for. You know, it's you're not alone out there, for one. You're really not alone out there. I do this all the time. I've created so many Pokemon characters at this point. I've probably created about 3 or 4 times as many Pokemon characters as I have, like, Pokemon trainer characters. But, yeah, just do you, man. And if anything, it takes a lot of ease off of you in the brainstorming process. It really does. And that's a big deal. It really is. And it's not like you can't go back and change the character a little bit later. Like, the character I was talking about, the Team Rocket character, his name is Valentine, by the way. I didn't mention that. He's gone through some changes since I've created him, and depending on what universe I suppose I'm putting him into, he can undergo some physical changes too. He's always pretty tall, he always has kind of a big nose, and he always has long hair, but, like, his eye color could change, or, you know, like, his physique could change a little bit, or you know, his nose kind of changes a little bit too sometimes, depending on how I'm feeling. And it's okay to do that, but the important thing is that, you know, when I created him, I didn't have to worry about him, you know? He had somewhere to exist, and he had something to do, and it gave me so much more freedom to just create him, and not everything else around him. And so, I don't know, I guess I just wanted to kind of go off on that tangent a little bit and just tell you that it's okay, you know? And I would love to see your guys' characters. Shoot. If I actually do, if anything, this is kind of an open invitation. If I actually do go and make a mini comic series about this Garchomp and Esper character, then it might be cool to use characters that you guys have created and kind of put them into this world as well. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, like I said, there's no guarantee that I'm actually going to do it, because I tell myself I'm going to do things all the time and then I just don't have the time for it. Especially with commission work and the channel and everything. And shoot, trying to move out and everything. There's so much going on right now. But if I actually do this, then I would love to see your Pokemon characters. And you know what? I just love to see them in general. I would just love to see them in general. So, I don't know. I guess, tell me what you think about the characters. I know I didn't talk about the Esper too much, but essentially the Esper, there we go, let's just touch on that real quick. The Esper character, she essentially is, she is a Siamese Esper. So I just took Esper, it's a cat, and I decided to kind of make it like a real cat, just like I took Garchomp, which is like a land shark, and made it more like a real shark. So Esper is a Siamese Esper, so there really wasn't much change, it's just that, like, the face had a pattern on it now. But I still love her nonetheless, and that took about 2 hours to do as well. I think it took about 2 hours. So yeah, there wasn't really as much brainstorming to her character, or to her to her appearance, sorry. Her personality is not entirely dependent on her appearance, though, unlike the Garchomp, which is nice, because that means I can change her at will. But yes, so in the comment section below, let me know what you think of these guys, because I am actually really proud of them, and I don't know, I am proud. I am very proud of them. In the comment section below, let's get a better question, like, I don't know, have you ever tried to make a character of your own before? And that doesn't mean that, you know, you like drew it out and decided on the whole thing. Like, maybe you're a writer, and you create characters like that just from text. And that's fantastic, because I used to do that too. I actually miss doing that. You know, have you ever created a character or a world or a scenario before like that? Have you ever, you know, and if you haven't, I don't know, I guess tell me about what your favorite characters are like. Like, whether it be from an anime or a movie or a TV show or a cartoon or whatever, you know, what are your favorite characters like? If you haven't already, please leave a like, because I appreciate that, and you know I do. You know I do. It's not even a question. Don't even bring that trash here. And if you are new to my channel, you should check out some of my other skill links, because this is actually a rather mild topic compared to what I usually do. I honestly am usually talking about, like, some really, like, kind of deep and heavy stuff. So if that's kind of interesting to you, then you should check those out. Otherwise, I have other things on my channel, like Pokemon and Speak No Evil and stuff, so you could check those out, and you should totally subscribe a little, because you will be alerted when I do more things, which is every day, so you should do that. Thanks for watching. Bye.